My dear one, close your eyes now, and let us journey back to a time of grand adventures, where brave hearts sought a lost home, and wonders awaited in the quiet places of the world. Remember our friends, Bilbo Baggins and the 13 Dwarves, led by the noble Thorin Oakenshield, on their courageous quest to reclaim the lonely mountain. As our story begins, the company found themselves still under the shadow of a relentless pursuit. Azog, the pale orc, and his grim followers were close behind, their movements swift and unwavering. Gandalf, the wise wizard, urged them onward, his voice a steady guide in the fading light, until they discovered a small, secluded dwelling nestled amongst the trees. This was the home of Beorn, a remarkable man who possessed the rare and ancient gift of changing his skin to that of a mighty bear. He was a creature of strong convictions, wary of strangers, but held an even deeper dislike for orcs. Gandalf, with his gentle persuasion, helped Beorn understand their plight, and the great man offered them a safe haven for the night, along with some sturdy ponies to aid their journey. Beorn spoke of the orcs' growing numbers and a dark power stirring in the south, adding a quiet concern to their path. With morning light they pressed on, but soon Gandalf felt a deep unease tugging at his heart. He knew he must investigate the spreading darkness in the ruined fortress of Dol Guldur. With a solemn promise to meet them later, he bid the company farewell at the edge of the ancient forest of Mirkwood, cautioning them to stay on the path. Mirkwood was unlike any forest Bilbo had ever known. A strange enchantment lay upon it, a thick, heavy air that slowly clouded their thoughts and dimmed their senses. The path, once clear, became a tangled maze, and soon they found themselves hopelessly lost amidst the shadowed trees. Hunger and thirst began to settle upon them, and with their minds growing hazy, they strayed from the faint trail. It was then that they stumbled into a truly sticky situation. Enormous, silken webs crisscrossed their path, and from the shadows emerged the forest's ancient, venomous spiders, their many eyes gleaming. They sought to ensnare the dwarves, wrapping them in their strong, sticky threads. But Bilbo, ever resourceful, felt a surge of courage. He drew his small sword, Sting, which glowed blue in the presence of such creatures, and used his magical ring to become unseen, cleverly distracting the spiders and freeing his friends. It was a challenging encounter, but together they repelled the creatures and continued their weary way. Their relief was short-lived, however. The sound of swift arrows, whistling through the air, brought them to an abrupt halt. They had entered the domain of the wood elves. King Thranduil, with his elegant yet stern demeanor, appeared before them. He was a creature of ancient beauty, but his heart held a deep-seated distrust of dwarves, especially regarding the precious jewels he believed Thorin's grandfather had withheld. When Thorin refused to reveal his quest, Thranduil ordered them all taken captive, leading them through his vast subterranean halls to be held in the deep dungeons. Bilbo, invisible with his ring, managed to evade capture. He spent days quietly observing, learning the elves' routines. He saw Thranduil question Thorin, seeking answers that Thorin would not give. He also witnessed moments of gentle kindness. Tauriel, a skilled elf warrior, spoke with Kili, who had suffered a painful arrow wound during the earlier skirmish with orcs that pursued them even to the river. Her concern for him was clear. Finally, Bilbo devised a clever plan. He discovered the elves' wine cellars, and with a bit of quick thinking, helped the dwarves escape their cells. He then sealed them into empty wine barrels, sending them tumbling down a chute and into the swift current of the forest river. It was a wild, rushing ride, filled with bumps and splashes, but it was their only way out. As they flowed along, orcs, those same relentless pursuers, ambushed them from the riverbanks. Legolas, Thranduil's son, and Tauriel joined the fray, their nimble movements and swift arrows helping to protect the dwarves as they rushed downstream. Kili, however, was struck again by an orc arrow, adding to his discomfort. After a long, winding journey down the river, the barrels washed ashore near Lake Town, a quaint, bustling settlement built upon the waters of a great lake. Here they met Bard, a humble boatman whose quiet strength and perceptive eyes immediately set him apart. He recognized Thorin, and though he harbored his own concerns about the dwarves disturbing the ancient dragon, Smaug, he agreed to help them, secretly guiding them into the town and hiding them in his home. Bard was a respected figure, a descendant of the ancient lords of Dale, with a quiet knowledge of the past. He lived with his 3 children, and his gentle daughter Tilda helped tend to Kili's painful wound. Meanwhile, the master of Lake Town, a man more concerned with his own comforts and influence, viewed the dwarves' arrival with suspicion, stirred on by his conniving servant, Alfred. Yet Thorin's stirring speech, promising a return to prosperity once Erebor was reclaimed, ignited the hopes of the townsfolk, and they eagerly offered their support. As the time came to continue their journey to the lonely mountain, Kili's wound had worsened, preventing him from traveling. With heavy hearts, Thorin decided to leave Kili, along with Fili, Oin, and Balin, behind in Bard's care, promising to send for them once the mountain was safe. Tauriel, unable to shake her concern for Kili, defied Thranduil's orders and set out to find him, with Legolas following her, drawn by a growing unease about the orcs' movements. Meanwhile, Gandalf had journeyed to Dol Guldur. The ancient fortress hummed with a dark, terrible energy. He found it infested with orcs and shadowed by a profound evil. As he explored, he discovered the ancient kings of men, long dead, now risen as terrifying specters. Suddenly, a terrible formless shadow coalesced before him. The necromancer, a being of immense, overwhelming power, none other than Sauron himself. Gandalf bravely stood his ground, but the darkness was too great. He was enveloped and held captive within the fortress, a prisoner of the rising evil. Back with the company, Bilbo, Thorin, and the remaining dwarves finally reached the foot of the lonely mountain. They sought the secret door, spoken of in ancient lore, a hidden entrance known only by the light of the setting sun on Durin's day. As dusk approached, a single golden ray of light pierced the clouds, revealing the hidden keyhole. With a turn of Thorin's key, the great stone door swung open, revealing a dark, silent passage into the heart of Erebor. It was Bilbo's duty, as the burglar, to enter first. With his heart aflutter, he ventured into the vast, cavernous halls, filled to the brim with untold gold and jewels. The air was thick with the scent of ancient dust and a faint, acrid smell. And then he saw it, a vast, slumbering mound amongst the treasures whose scales glittered like precious gems. This was Smaug, the great dragon, dreaming amidst his stolen hoard. Bilbo's quiet footsteps stirred the immense creature. Smaug awoke, slowly uncoiling his vast length, his deep voice rumbling like an earthquake beneath the mountain. He spoke to Bilbo with ancient cunning, his gaze piercing, seeing more than Bilbo expected. He knew of the dwarves, of their return, and even of Bilbo's own identity, taunting him with the knowledge. Bilbo, with clever words, tried to evade Smaug's questions, but the dragon saw through much of his pretense. Bilbo managed to spot the Arkenstone, the jewel of kings, glistening amongst the gold, but he could not retrieve it. Smaug, now fully awake and enraged by the intrusion, pursued Bilbo through the vast halls. He poured forth full and destruction, determined to eliminate the intruder and reclaim his peace. Bilbo bravely led the dragon on a perilous chase, eventually finding his way back to the dwarves. Thorin, seeing the dragon's wrath, devised a daring plan: to lure Smaug into the ancient forges of Erebor. Hoping to defeat him with the very force that once created the dwarves' magnificent treasures. Together, they worked with swift determination, rekindling the mighty furnaces, drawing Smaug deeper into the mountain's fiery heart. They unleashed molten gold, shaping it into a colossal golden statue, hoping its weight and heat would be enough. But Smaug, cunning and powerful, easily shrugged off their efforts, emerging from the mountain's depths, now consumed by a terrible rage. He burst forth from the main gate, a colossal shadow against the night sky, his eyes fixed not on the mountain, but on the unsuspecting town below. Smaug soared towards Lake Town, a fiery terror descending from the sky, intent on unleashing his wrath upon the humans who had dared to shelter the dwarves. Back in Lake Town, the orcs, led by Bolg, Azog's son, arrived, seeking the dwarves left behind. A tense encounter unfolded as Tauriel and Legolas arrived, bravely helping Bard's family and the remaining dwarves to defend themselves against the relentless attackers. Bard, meanwhile, had begun to realize the terrible danger descending upon his home, his heart heavy with foreboding. And so, my dear one, as the great dragon, Smaug, flew with terrifying purpose towards Lake Town, and the dwarves stood in the heart of their reclaimed but still perilous mountain home, and Gandalf was held captive in the deep, dark fortress of Dol Guldur, our journey through this part of the adventure comes to a gentle pause. The moon casts its soft glow now, and the world is quiet. All our friends are in their places, facing what comes next with courage in their hearts. But for now, their story, like the night, settles into a peaceful stillness. Rest now, let your dreams be soft and calm, for a new day will bring its own light and its own part of the story. Sleep peacefully, my dear, my